Hey guys, so this video is a Q&A video and I must apologise. I filmed this back in like the end of June, beginning of July, and due to like school holidays and not really working much and getting stuff done, I'm only just editing this and putting it up now in September. So I hope you still enjoy, and I'm really sorry that it took so long to answer your questions. Bye guys. Hey guys, so it's Q&A time again. I've printed out my questions and might use it as a fan because it's just so hot here. England has been crazy hot and I am not a heat person. I get really cranky in the heat and I don't like it. 18 is hot for me and it's going to be hot for the foreseeable future. Right then, so from Facebook, have you been out to visit your mum and dad? My heritage is in Italy and would love to spend some time there when my kids are older. Yeah, they tend to come to me though rather than me go to them. So they emigrated fully, what, I lose track of time. I want to say 4 years ago. Or maybe it's 5 years in October. I know they immigrated at the end of October, but I can't really remember. And in that time, that I've only been to them once, and the reason being for that is because they moved over. So they basically left the UK on the 1st of November, and the beginning of January, John and I started the adoption process. For adopting our daughter, and that entire process was quite long and drawn out, and so it took us until like the following year to be like through all the checks and all the process and everything, and then yeah, and then it was kind of like I didn't go because we were kind of like saving the money and stuff for having a little one, and then we finally got a little one. And ever since we've had her, we haven't been away. She hasn't got a passport. But my mum and dad come over about 4 times a year, and we FaceTime for definite once a week. But you know, we're forever we like message each other pretty much every day, and I'm always sending them photos of little one. Do want to go back though. There's so much of the country that I'd like to see. And of course they're where they live and everything, so yeah, one day. Just at the moment it's just not viable for it, feasible. Okay, so I sometimes struggle to put pen/paintbrush to paper when I'm trying to do daily travel type journaling. Worried about making a mistake, I really annoy myself. So any tips for stopping the procrastination? Okay, so I also struggle with this, so I'm not always good at practicing what I preach. But the way I look at it is, what is the worst that can happen? At the end of the day, it's not a piece that you're putting in a gallery, it's just your journal. So no one has to see it. If you don't like it, don't show anyone. No one has to see it. The most important thing for me about a travel journal, and I would say like a daily journal, is what you record. So for me, it's the important thing is like recording what you've done, who you've been with, what you felt, what you saw, all of those kind of things. I think that's more important than the creative side. I think the creative stuff should enhance that. But at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with just writing, or maybe just like a wash of watercolour over the background, over the page, and then write on top of it, maybe a strip of washi tape at the top or bottom. If in doubt, what I think looks nice is like say like a strip of washi tape across the top, and then maybe using like a sticker with like a date stamp on it or something. That I think looks really nice, and that's a little bit of creativity. Maybe you could pop a photo on the page, maybe washi tape the corners on, washi tape it on, like, you know. But yeah, as I said, I think personally it's about what you're recording, not necessarily the way in which you record it. So I would try to think about it that way, and any of the creative stuff kind of comes after. That's just my opinion. That's how I see it, and I would I would much rather, like in 5 years time, look back on that journal and see the things we did, and know that I at least got it down and wrote it down, rather than like, you know, one page but it's absolutely beautiful. How do you manage working from home? Do you set yourself certain times to work? If you do, how easy is it to stick to times and not faff around? Okay, so yeah, it is really easy to stick to times, and yes, I do stick to times, and that is because Miss B goes to preschool 2 days a week. Well, she was doing two days, but now it's school holidays. So, and the school day is 9 till 3. So pretty much I work 9:30 till 2:30, 2 days a week. And that is my like prime time, like pretty much my not only time, but my main time in order to get things done. And I have found that I do not procrastinate at all in that time. I've realised that before I had Miss B that I spent a lot of time procrastinating and faffing around. But since having her, so when I work, you know, it's head down, knuckle down, get work done. So I literally work as flat out. I don't stop for lunch or anything. I flat out work those times. And then if there's anything else that like needs to be done, then I kind of work flexibly. So for example, sometimes I'll need to do some like, you know, for a really busy time or whatever, I'll need to do some work some other time, so I'll find some time. So basically how our structure works here is John works for another company 3 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because he used to work full-time, but last year he was made like part-time redundant. And because little one, you know, she's still small, we made the decision for him not to find alternative work, that we were going to make a go of it, try and make Brimble's work and live off of his like 3 days a week, because we wanted to spend like more time with her while she's still young. And yeah, it's working. Sometimes financially it is a bit of a struggle, you know, so like when I talk about like when you guys buy something from me, it genuinely is feeding my family, because what I earn I buy with food with it. So yeah, so it's kind of working. So John does all the printing and packing of orders and all that kind of stuff for me, and so that's like evenings, and the 2 other days that he doesn't work with his company. And so we just kind of juggle, we're constantly juggling, but that is what I guess being a parent is, juggling if you work. And yeah, so I work those 2 days, and then if there are no orders or very few orders on a Thursday and a Friday, then maybe I'll work on a Thursday and Friday if there's stuff that I need to get done. Or maybe like John does like a couple of hours in the morning on a Thursday to pack orders, and then I work. Sometimes I don't, sometimes we go out for the day and then I'll work on a Saturday instead, because it is quite nice if we are going to go out for the day. Thursdays and Fridays are quite nice to do that because it's a lot quieter. So sometimes we'll treat Thursday and Friday as our weekend, and then we'll work Saturday and Sunday. So I'm really lucky that I've got a very supportive husband who also does like the childcare as well. So between us we juggle and we manage it, but it's just made me realise that I just have to, when I'm working, I am working, I knuckle down, you know. How easy do you find it to come up with new ideas? Do they pop into your head, or do you have do you have a wander somewhere to find inspiration? Yes and yes. Like sometimes literally an idea out of nowhere will pop in my head, you know, it'll just like go, aha, and I'll run with it. Sometimes I will find an idea because I have been doodling or drawing something in my journal, and then I'm like, I wonder if I could take this further. And yeah, and other times like we try, we try like to get out and about in our camper van as much as we possibly can. We're quite simple people. We don't really spend a lot on like days out or anything. We're quite happy as long as we've got some money for diesel. We will go off, we'll go for walks in the woods, we'll go for beach days, we'll go on wild camp somewhere. And I find a lot of the time those I need personally as a creator, like for my like creative muse, I find like I need a trip once a month, like a beach day once a month or something like that, a real proper downtime day. And that's when like I find that inspiration comes flooding in. But I also ask you guys, like I put like a poll in the Facebook group and I'm like, you know, what themes would you like to see for the boxes or whatever, and then you vote and go from there. Best place you visited in your camper? I'd have to say Scotland, the Isle of Skye. I'm very, very taken by that. Instagram. What are some of your favourite family traditions? How are you passing these along to your daughter? So traditions, someone asked me this once before and I don't really know what traditions we've got, if you know what I mean. And I think it's because you sort of do things kind of habitually. I don't really think of them as traditions. My main traditions, I would say, are centred around Christmas. Like we do fairies night at the last day of November where we write letters to Father Christmas and we leave them out for the fairies to come and take them, and the fairies come and take them and they leave an ornament for the tree and an advent calendar. You know, like getting our tree, making mince pies, Christmas pudding, Christmas cake. The Christmas Eve ritual, we like John's family always go to church on Christmas Eve, so we've been doing that too, and Christmas Eve box, that kind of thing. Halloween, like we always go and pick a pumpkin as a family. We go to a pumpkin patch, pick pumpkins, and you know, we celebrate Halloween, fireworks night, I guess the usual things. But other than that, I can't really think of any other sort of traditions. I don't really know what you sort of class it as a tradition, really. But, when coming up with new ideas for your own brand, how do you decide what products to sell, and how do you decide what themes to go with for that month? Is it a long thought out process, or is it just where your creativity takes you that month? Okay, so in terms of ideas, like at the beginning of every year, I always like do a poll in the Facebook group and ask people what themes they'd like to see for that year for the boxes and collections, and I basically just work my way through those. I always put a few suggestions on it to start it off, so they're ones that I kind of want to roll with, and then from there I just literally pick the top most voted for themes and go with that. Sometimes this year I've done a couple of other collections, and that's just because my muse has kind of taken me in that direction and I've had the time to do it. Products, basically our business, like I took a break from doing the Brimbles boxes for a little while, and like our business is kind of like not as big as it was, so we're no longer getting stuff printed in China, so we are basically producing in-house now. So basically the products that I do are centered around what we can produce in-house. I'd like to get back to the stage where I can get different products made again, but yeah, just have to wait for like business to pick up again, basically. Do you keep your daughter's artwork? If so, how are you keeping it organised? I always had a hard time getting rid of anything my children made. So, right, okay, so I don't have a hard time getting rid of stuff. My daughter creates a lot because obviously, you know, she lives with me. She paints and draws every single day, so she creates loads. She's got her own journal, which she does stuff into. I tend to offload a bit to the grandparents, particularly my mum and dad, because they don't see her very often. I kind of send a lot, we send a lot to them. And I'm kind of like, what they do with it is, you know. But at the moment I've got it all piled up and in her memory box. And what I'm going to do with it is I'm going to photograph it all, and then I'm going to turn it, get a photo, like a printed photo book done, so that all the things, so it's a lot smaller and it's all together. I'm going to keep like a few key pieces, I think, things that like where I can see like she's changed her or improved, or she's drawn something that's like particularly memorable or something, and the rest are just going to go, to be honest. And the reason being, the reason why I'm a little bit harsh about it is because when my parents emigrated, obviously they had to take everything with them, and they cleared out their loft, and my mum had kept so much of my artwork, which I'm really grateful for. But unfortunately, because it'd been up in the loft, a lot of it had got faded, damp and skanky, and like things that were glued on, like the glue had like peeled off and gone brown, and so I don't really think stuff like that keeps that well. And there was just a lot of it, and it was gathering dust and stuff, and I ended up chucking a lot of it, like most of it, to be honest, because it was just gone bleh. So I think I would rather preserve her artwork in a photo book, so that she could look back on and see it, rather than the originals, and that way they're kept nicer and it's less space storing. So yeah, I don't actually feel that bad about kind of moving stuff on. Any tips for what to do when you are trying to create something and you just aren't feeling it? Yes, walk away, my friend, walk away. I find, if this happens to me, I find the more that I try and work at it and do stuff with it, it just ain't happening. And it goes from good to bad to worse to freaking bad but ugly. So walk away, my friend. Go and have a cup of tea, go for a walk, watch some telly, read a book, something that will create your muse, like that, or come back to it another day. This is the best thing that you can do for yourself, is to walk away, because otherwise you are at risk of making something fugly and you just even hating it even more, and then the loathing starts and you start doubting your skills. So walk away, my friend, and come back to it when you're refreshed and feel creatively inspired. There you go. How has your planning changed the most with having your daughter as a part of the family picture? Do you feel overwhelmed sometimes, even with the excellent planning you can do? What are some things you take in stride as a mum who has to just get things done? Yeah, my planning has changed. I did a couple of videos over the course of the last 2 years. You know, I kind of went back to having an A5 planner because I needed the extra space. I kind of separated business and personal out. And at the moment I'm in a B6 size, which is quite a good compromise between a sort of personal and A5. So I'm enjoying that, and I've got personal and business all together, and my planning life, I feel really at ease now. And kind of, we don't have that much of that complicated a life. I mean, little one goes to school a couple of days a week, and maybe we go to groups or see friends or something. We have a couple of like appointments with professionals that we have to do regularly, but other than that, it's kind of like a bit of a well-oiled machine, really. So I've kind of got to the point where it just works. My planning, I don't think my planning's that changed that much. As I say, it's just a kind of case of just like plopping an appointment time in for her and that kind of stuff. I don't really know. Do I feel overwhelmed? I do feel overwhelmed quite a lot. Parenting a child with additional needs isn't always easy. It isn't always a walk in the park. There are some days that are complete and utter hell, and yeah, so some days I feel totally overwhelmed, but I just kind of get on with it. Stuff just needs to get done. My house, however, I mourn the loss of the tidy house that I used to have. The house is permanently a mess. There's permanently laundry in the basket that needs putting away. That's like a permanent thing. There's just, yeah, no, I every now and then throw a hissy fit and stuff, but yeah, I think you just have to take that kind of stuff in stride and get your priorities right. Like my priority is spending time with my daughter and working so I can earn money to feed us. Those are my two priorities, and then everything else just kind of has to fit in around that, you know. Blah, blah, blah. How do you feel about bullet journaling as a planner method? Is it something you've considered doing, or is it just not your cup of tea? I like it. I do like it. And yes, it is something I've considered doing. I don't do it because I, like, literally sometimes my planning, a lot of the time I write stuff in pencil, and then I will often go back in at the end of the week or after a couple of days and stick stickers down and write the stuff in that I did to make it look pretty. And so I don't think, where I'm at in my life at the moment, that I have the time to dedicate to a bullet journal and to sort it all out. And my life isn't that complicated. Like, I don't track moods, I don't track habits, I don't track programs I've watched or anything like that. So that kind of stuff that, like, a lot of people put in their bullet journals wouldn't necessarily apply to me. I just need, like, a schedule, like a diary of dates and times we've got appointments and a to-do list. That's all I really need. And so my planner at the moment is kind of like really working for me. And then I've got my my journal for documenting and stuff. So I like the idea of bullet journaling, and I do like lusting over people's spreads on Instagram and YouTube and stuff, but currently no, it's not somewhere that I want to go. I'm loving my B6 size, and I'm loving a traveller's notebook, so I've got real planner peace at the moment. I think this is the last question because the other ones are for John. How, now that you are a mum and an entrepreneur, is it challenging to find time to be creative and enjoy arting like you used to? How have you adjusted? Entrepreneur, I wouldn't class myself as an entrepreneur, but is it challenging to find time to be creative and enjoy arting? Not really, because my business is an artistic business. So I'm either making art to turn into products to sell, or I'm making art for my Patreon, and my Patreon is video tutorials and collage sheets. So I'm actually, if I'm working, I am usually creating, be that on pen and paper, paintbrush and paper, or digitally with Photoshop. If I'm working, I am creating. I don't get time off. I could have time if I carved out the time, but I don't. Okay, let's choose another word rather than time. I often don't feel like I have the energy to journal for myself. Of an evening, John and I don't really watch telly, particularly mainstream telly. If we watch any telly, it tends to be YouTube vlogs, and they tend to be van life vlogs and travel vlogs. But we don't watch many of them because we don't have a child that goes to bed easily or early. So John and I literally, I mean, sometimes we all go to bed together at the same time. So we literally only have like an hour in the evening sometimes. And I love to read, so I tend to read. I find that really relaxing, because by that point in the evening I'm just exhausted. And yeah, so I have lately kind of done more journaling. I had a bit of a journaling funk for a while, but the mojo is back. It's back. But it doesn't really bother me, because the creative itch is always being scratched, because I'm always doing something creative, and that is totally okay with me. And the way I look at it is, keeping a journal should be something you want to do and is fun to do, not a chore. So if it feels like a chore, then I just don't do it. I only do it when I've got the muse or the energy, or there's something I really want to get down, you know. So that is totally okay with me. that's it from me, and we need to go in and attack John and ask him some questions too. Which I didn't actually do, but I haven't actually sorted that out yet, but I wanted to get this video out to you guys, so my apologies, and hopefully we can do another one soon and it won't be so long for the next video. But now back to school and all that's going on, we're back to kind of like posting and stuff, so if there's any videos you want to see, then let me know and I'll try and get them out for you.